Welcome to the Agency Founder Podcast. Are you ready to grow your marketing agency? We pull back the curtain to show you how real marketing agency founders struggled, built, and scaled their agencies. Practical advice, lessons learned, wins, and losses. We hold nothing back. Now, your host, Jeremy Sonny.
Welcome to the Agency Founder Podcast by Moonshine Marketing. Every single week, we interview successful founders of marketing agencies at different points in their journey to pass on their victories, defeats, challenges, and lessons learned to help you take your agency to new heights. This week, we're speaking with Oliver Kenyon of Landing Page Guys, an agency focused on landing page design, development, and optimization. Oliver, thanks for being here with me.
It's an honor to be on. I really appreciate it, Jeremy. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no. So I, full disclosure, I've been a customer of yours in the past, which, just want to put it out there, no collusion on this podcast. It's interesting. I've never encountered an agency that focuses purely on landing page design. That's such an interesting niche, kind of how did you get there, and decide on kind of landing page design?
Yeah, sure. No, it's quite kind of, like you say, interesting and very unique, but it's definitely not something that you wake up at the age of 10 and say to your mum and dad, I want to be a landing page designer, or, I want to run a company that designs and develops landing pages. It was just something like, many of your listeners and possibly even yourself, that you kind of just fall into these different things. So the kind of long but quick version of this is I discovered the online world through hip hop. I used to be obsessed with hip hop and rap back in the days of like 8 Mile and Eminem and all these kind of rap battle stuff. And I went onto the communities and forums in hip hop, and I got to a point where I was training to be a chef on the side. I was a full-time chef for years, but on the side, like every spare hour, I was kind of online on these hip hop forums. And I remember, like, I know in the States, you've got a program, I think it's called Shark Tank, and over here in the UK, you have a program called Dragon's Den. And I used to be obsessed with that program. And for the listeners who don't know what it is, it's basically where you come into like a boiler room, you pitch your idea, and then some investors give you money. And I remember being sat in my grandfather's house, probably around about the age of like 15, 16, and I sat my dad and my grandfather down and I pitched them for 140 quid. So that's probably about 180 US, right? And it was for 40% of my company. And in return, they were going to give me, buy me a domain, hosting, and vBulletin software to create my own forum. So I created this hip hop forum. It's quite funny because even now at 31, my dad still thinks he's got a 40% stake in my company, which my co-founder Andy isn't too happy about. But we invite him to the odd AGM. But no, it's good.
The valuation's grown a bit since then.
Just a little bit. So, yeah, he made a sound investment anyway. But so fast forward, like I had this community for hip hop, and I found someone on there who did CPA marketing, so cost per action marketing, affiliate marketing. And he introduced me to that world when I was about maybe 17, 18. And that's when I first made kind of proper money online, was through this kind of CPA incentivized gateways and marketing. And through that, I started another forum, which was about affiliate marketing. Never to become anything. It was just meant to be a community and a forum for my friends and myself to discuss cost per action marketing, because there wasn't anywhere really that openly helped each other. Back then in the days, there was like Digital Point, Wikifire, Warrior Forum, but they weren't overly like friendly communities that would share advice and help each other. So I wanted to just create this forum, right?
And like a lot of like private Skype groups and stuff
Exactly,
too, back in the day. Yeah, I remember
wasn't cool
that.
enough. I was like a spotty like teenager. I wasn't cool enough to get into these groups, right? So I created this forum, and I'd always been kind of obsessed with branding and making things look good. So although I never planned to monetize, I didn't even know what monetization really was back then. I did make my forum look nice. I did make my rap forum, my CPA forum look good. And this is a sort of a sideline. The forum turned into the biggest affiliate marketing community online with over 100,000 members, and we kind of sold that and exited a couple of years ago. But the reason that that Landing Page Guys was born was because of that forum, because people kept coming to the forum and joining the forum. And I never planned it, like I said, to be what it was, but people kept joining and seeing the design, seeing the branding on it, and would contact me as the administrator and the owner of the forum and say, can we use your designer? Look, like, who's your designer? Like, it looks amazing. Can we use your designer? So having that kind of entrepreneurial bug at that age when I started to make money online, I thought, let's arbitrage this. So I just kind of basically white labeled my designer. I would do projects for people. A friend of mine, and I know a friend of yours, Jeremy, Tim Bird, was actually my first ever client for Landing Page Guys and my um, first ever media buyers on the forum. So he used to own an affiliate network called Plus, and he actually bought the first banner on that forum. And then he was our first client who kind of I like arbitrage my designer to. So Tim back then was doing a lot of lead gen. He was working in financial space and the auto insurance space and claim space for a company called debt.org in the States. And we used to basically do a lot of landers for him through my designer. And Tim would educate me on what was good, what was bad, what converted. Because, we say it now, like we live by this, but we have a kind of community on Facebook, and our community slogan is that web design is an art form, but landing page design is a science. And Tim schooled us on that science to begin with, and then we kind of ran with it. So that's kind of how it all started. It was really by accident, people arbitraging our designer, and that designer from, I would say now, let's have a look, probably 12, 13 years ago, still works full time for me with Landing Page Guys.
Wow, that's pretty incredible retention rate.
Yeah, we're good friends. He's a great guy.
No, that's awesome. I love hearing that. It's kind of an incredible amount of people that I talk to come from like that affiliate world. I think it's because when you're using your own money and you're trying to like really you're super focused on like the margin, right? Between, what's the arbitrage between the click and the actual sale. I think that forces such a like scientific, data driven approach to marketing.
Like a mindset, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that you end up producing really great results for clients afterwards because you don't have time for a lot of the nonsense, right? Obviously the art and the branding and the story all matter, but they matter inside the context of the data, as it were.
Absolutely. And that's why now, that's what we literally, and hopefully we'll get onto what we're doing now, but we practice and preach every day. It's that every click counts. We work with clients such as yourself and other clients who have massive spend every day, who are spending 10, 20, 30, 50 grand a day on Facebook traffic. And unless that page converts, it could look as pretty as it wants, it could look as branded as it wants, but unless it converts, they're never going to come back to us.
Right. Yeah, that is exactly it, right? Like they can like it as much as they want, but it's all about driving the business results. So you have this great past, where you kind of were building like forums, and then you get into affiliate, and then you pair up with, a really successful media buyer, obviously, with Tim, and then kind of learn like the data side of that. And now you're running Landing Page Guys. So tell me about kind of the early days of saying, okay, we're gonna turn this into an agency. We're gonna blast this out wide. Like tell me about how that kind of got started.
Yeah, sure. It's a great question. So originally, Tim would send us the kind of lead generation landers, and a couple of other people who again are still about in the industry today would send us these lead generation landers earlier on the day. But it wasn't a business. I was basically arbitraging my designer. And funny enough, through my forum Affiliate Fix, I met my co-founder today. Although he lives literally 30 minutes from my house and did back then, I'd never met him, never heard of him, but he met me through our forum because on the forum, it says, when you post, it says where your location is. And he saw that I was in Bristol. He was in Bristol here in the UK. And he said, let's meet for a coffee. And my now wife told me not to because she thought he might be some crazy stalker and, might come at me with a knife. But he didn't, luckily. And we've been partners ever since. And he came on board and we decided to make it a company. But I was still running the forum and still starting to make, very good money from the forum. So that was always kind of not my main focus, but I was always split across a couple of things. It was the forum and Landing Page Guys. And Andy was working on Landing Page Guys and he was running some affiliate stuff on the side as well. So we had our own kind of interests. So admittedly, like Landing Page Guys in its current instance is now 7 years old. Admittedly, for the first kind of 3-4 years, it was what you would call, Jeremy, like a lifestyle business. Me and Andy would do everything. So we would be the project management team. We would be the client liaison. We would be the QA team. We would be the sales team. I would sell. Andy would do project management. We would kind of outsource all of our work to various different people. And, we earned good money, but we were never going to grow beyond what we were capable of because we were doing all the work, right? So we were kind of spread too thin. And it got to about maybe a year and a half ago to 2 years ago that we sat down together and we said, are we going to do this for another 4 or 5 years, or are we going to take this seriously and start scaling this into the company we know the industry wants, we know the industry needs, and we know that we want to create? And that was like a massive turning point. I'd love to go into some of the details on that later, but it was a big turning point in our journey where we were like, let's take this seriously. And that's when we started like aggressively kind of branding, aggressively hiring internally here in the UK, and basically removing ourselves from that day-to-day operation and looking at the company from afar and kind of making the key decisions in order to scale into what I would call now a real business and a real agency.
Right. Yeah. No, you'd be surprised at how common of a theme that is, like with the turning point, right? Where the last two people I've talked to on podcast episodes, it was working in your business versus working on your business, right? And then finding the right people to kind of empower and take on tasks and things like that. Kind of how do you find those right people? How do you kind of let go? Because I'm a control freak, right? Like I, micromanage a little bit when the teams that I'm working with, but I'm trying to learn to delegate better. And I'm learning that really is kind of the key to scaling and to kind of being a business that you're proud of rather than just giving yourself an 80-hour-a-week job. Yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts on like finding the right people, empowering them the right way, setting up the right systems to maintain quality while still growing.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to answer that question, but there's no easy way, in my opinion, of doing it. It is very hard. And I was a little bit like you, a bit of a kind of control freak. I had to do every part of the business we did for 4 or 5 years. So we've been in it. We've been in the trenches. We've been in the mud. So to then kind of hand that over to other people, it is very hard to begin with. And it's quite an alien feeling. But the second we did was like literally life-changing for our company. We've kind of 3-4x'd in the last 2 years. And we only see that going the same again this coming year. We've got some really big ambitions and goals. But as far as kind of people and how you scale, I'm not going to pretend we're a huge company. Internally here in the UK, we're now at 9. Externally, we have between 30 and 40 designers, developers working for us at all times. But the internal company was the biggest focus. Me and Andy have always had this vision and always had this kind of passion for creating a culture. We want to create like a family. Like we love the brand, we love what we do, we get our clients great results. But the thing that was missing was that kind of culture. Like it's quite cliche, but you see other offices and they like the Googles and Facebooks who have these massive office complex and these really cool offices and really cool culture and vibe. And we wanted that, and that's why a couple of years ago we said, are we actually going to go and get that? And hopefully now that's what we're trying to achieve. But we were lucky with our first couple of hires. A company not in the same space, but in the same kind of internet marketing media kind of shut down their UK branch here in the UK, and we were lucky enough to kind of take a couple of guys from there who knew the space. And they've just been absolutely brilliant. But it's, as far as another tip as well is we hired my wife, which was quite a kind of a brave decision, I would say. Hopefully she's not listening to this, but we were told you're sometimes told to not hire close to you, but I've actually think it's the best thing we've done is hire her, because she's been fantastic. And as far as trusting your people, I think it's all about processes. So me and Andy sit down and we process out every part of our company. So we broke it down into like sales, we broke it down into project management, client liaison, and QA. And we wrote down every single task that we do within those sections of our business. And then we created almost like a handbook for each task. So we created like videos and processes for each and every task, so that when someone new comes in those departments, all we have to do is get them in. We have what's called our internal hub, and show them and make them, for the first week, just rinse and repeat those videos. For example, the sales guy, he rinses and repeats sales videos on how we handle processes of selling and taking calls and booking appointments. But he also has to go through an archive of, say, 50 to 100 previous sales calls that I've recorded. So I recorded all my sales calls for like 2 months. And they have to go through that, and then I quiz them on them. So it's all about like making sure you have these processes pre-recorded, so that whoever comes in can spend a week or 2 onboarding, going through these processes, and then you obviously chuck them in at the deep end. Now, that's not the easiest thing to do, but I almost think I'd rather people fail fast and learn from that and learn from their mistakes than try and kind of micromanage them and often people, now we for example, we've had a project manager start this week, and he's already owning his own processes because we've just said, go and do it. Go and do it, make your own mistakes, come back to us. If there are things you think we can improve, we're not perfect. Why should we be telling you how to do your job when we're not the ones doing it day in, day out? So we let them go and do it, and then they come back to us with suggestions. And if we think it's a sensible suggestion that's going to improve their job, we just let them do it. So I totally understand it is hard, and I get it. I've been there. when you find it hard to, and you have to micromanage. But the sooner you let go and let people own their own processes, the worst case that's going to happen is they're not going to be good enough and you've got to get rid of them. But luckily enough, what we found is that if you actually let them have that responsibility, of course, set targets and set lead measures and kind of have those processes in place. But if you let them have that responsibility, hopefully they'll thrive.
No, I love that. Actually, I love that on a few fronts. One, because I'm actually training my wife to be a junior media buyer. um,
Mm,
uh,
amazing.
yeah. So really excited about that. But the other thing is, I really like your process of saying, okay, this is how we do it, right? Go in there and just own it, because I think it's like a useful filtering mechanism, right? Like insofar as the people that are passionate and care and are willing to learn and willing to kind of roll up their sleeves are going to thrive in something like that, and the people that aren't are going to filter out very quickly. You're going to they're going to fire fast, they're going to fire themselves.
And that's what me and Andy kind of sat down and said, like, we're not here to hire qualifications, we're here to hire people. Like, if you come in and you find that you're actually better suited to another position in the company, that's fine, but go and own it. Go and get that yourself. Like, as long as you get the culture and as long as you fit in, and you can think on your feet and use common sense, like, you'll fit in. And I think that's what it's all about. It's about hiring people, not their qualifications. And yeah, I think that's like you've just said, that's kind of key and testament. One thing we do as well, which has been like instrumental, is we have core values. So we have these core values in our company, 10 core values. Now, every morning we do what's called positive focus. So at 9:30 in the morning, everyone gets around the meeting room and you have to say what you're positive about for the day. So it's a quick, like, 1 minute thing. You say, I'm positive because of this. Now, it could be personal, it could be business, it could be both. For example, our sales guy might be saying, I'm positive because I hit my target, I'm going to make another sale. I'm also picking up a new car on the weekend and I can't wait to eat out in a restaurant. Like, everyone after that feels buzzing. But then after that, we then run through our core values. And we don't just run through our core values as far as you have to just repeat them. You have to repeat them, but with a real life case study of how you stuck by that core value. So for example, one of our core values is be open, honest, and transparent. Now, if on our project team, we've delivered a landing page, we said we give it a deadline of Wednesday, but it's not going to be ready till Thursday. That's if we don't tell the customer, we're not sticking by our core value. So if we at least go and tell our customer, look, we're really sorry, we've tried all we can, but I don't want to hold up your deadlines. I just want to be very honest with you. It's actually going to be ready to tomorrow. I apologize for that, but we'll do all we can to deliver it straight away for you tomorrow. That is an example of a case study of our staff sticking by our core values. Now, the genius of this is the more you do it, the more they think on their feet to actually implement these in their day to day, and the more their processes and actual professionalism as a employee for your company is way better. So anyone listening who doesn't do that, I really recommend it.
Well, so it's actually funny that you say that, right? So I spend most of my time actually buying media on behalf of like creative agencies, right? Design agencies and web design agencies and whatever, or content marketing agencies, right? They outsource that piece, and so I sit in on a lot of meetings, like a lot of team meetings, just to be like kind of up to speed. And the best agencies I work with do something very similar to that, right? Every single week, maybe not daily, but every week at least, they'll say, what's a professional win that you had? Kind of what is and then what's like a personal win, right? Just that doesn't have to be all about work, but it kind of gets everybody excited. And then, they take all of the business or whatever, and then they, maybe they don't explicitly go through all of their values like that, but they, try and relate it back, kind of their core mission.
Exactly. It's literally one core value per person per day to what they think they've done. And it can be something as simple as, like, because I'm more like the kind of KPI in the face of our company, it can sometimes be me simply as I was on Jeremy's incredible podcast last night, and my one of our core values is share the journey. So I'm sharing our journey. And it can be something as quick and as simple as that, but you will be amazed at how your staff will take on those core values and kind of live by them without even acknowledging, without even thinking about it. They're just engraved into the back of their mindset on their day-to-day work. And we're constantly like having situations where we're like, I was open and transparent. That's one of our core values. I was open and transparent to this customer because I said this. And they'll say it without even thinking now. And it's really kind of fine-tuned our kind of professionalism and how we deliver results to our clients.
No, I love that. I really do. I think, my question there is, if you're early on, right? If a lot of the people listening to this, right, they're one person, maybe two, three person agencies, and they're trying to like figure out how to like grow. And in culture, it's becoming apparent just talking with you, talking with everybody, that that's such a core piece. And if you're trying to define that out at an early stage, how do you have any tips on how to define out those core values, how to define, like, start on the right foot with that culture, and give it a personal spin, because every team's a little different.
Absolutely. So one thing I would say is do it. Make sure you do it. I don't care if you're one or 50. Like, do it. So we recently invested into a UK local lead gen company who are going to do some massive stuff. And it's just two lads, just two guys. The reason we did is because we see a lot of us in them. Me and Andy started as just me and him 6-7 years ago. They're very similar ages when we started. So we took a kind of punt, and we think they're going to be great. But the first thing we did was say, you need to come up with 10 core values. You need to start doing positive focus every single morning, and you need to stick and live and eat, sleep, live, breathe these core values and this positivity. And already they've like 3x their business in the first couple of months of just doing those things. So I would just recommend that you do it because they're very important. But as far as like coming up with unique ones, I would just think like what's important to you. It's quite hard when you're doing core values to not be cliche, but do things that you believe in. Write down, say, for example, 20. If you've got staff, a really good thing that we did is we anonymously emailed every single member of staff across our designers development, so all our kind of 30, 40 out of office and our internal office, and asked them to email back 5 core values which they thought we should stick by without any kind of help or examples, and email them anonymously back. And then we put them in like a chart and see which ones got repeated. Now, I know you can't do that if it's just 1 or 2 people, but maybe it's something you should approach your family and friends and say, look, we are media buyers, or we are designers, or we are a plumbing service. As a consumer of our product, what do you think we should deliver as far as core values? Do you think we should be open and honest? Do you think we should under promise, over deliver? Do you think, and come up with them? But they can change as well. They're not set in stone. We have them on our website, on our about page, but they're not things that we can't discuss and alter every 6 months or whatever it may be, as the company kind of alters. Your margins change, your goals change, so can your core values as well.
That's really important too. I think that, the core values to some degree should reflect kind of the state that you're in. And then, you kind of grow into new ones, and maybe kind of alter older ones while kind of keeping the spirit of the whole thing. No, that's really interesting. I super love that, this focus on culture and value. But I guess my last like real big question is, how do you find the right people to fit into that, right? Because you said that, you have this great process that, like, kind of the people that are, really willing to work and willing to kind of be intellectually curious are gonna rise to the top. They're gonna do well as long as they follow those values, and follow the process. But I guess, how do you find those people in the first place, right? How do you recruit the right talent to grow the culture rather than to stagnate or forbid shrink it in some way?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally see what you're saying. And again, to be fully transparent, we're up to 9 internally. So it's not like we're employing 50, 80, 100 people yet. Hopefully this year we're going to be, aiming for about 20 internal. So we will be there. But
Right. But to challenge you on that real quick, it's actually more impactful, right? Because every person you add is a greater percentage than, if you're a 500 person company and you add one, so I do think it's very critical.
And also, these are the early adopters. So that anyone coming in now, my guys who are already in, need to be seen to stick by these kind of values and culture. So yeah, I totally agree. The way we've done it is so how we hire is we put out job posts on local job boards. I'm sure wherever your listeners are, there's going to be equivalents, but the one in the UK, the big one, is called Indeed. And then we also have a recruitment company who offers a flat rate recruitment to basically boost that post. Now, per position that we put out, we roughly get probably about 30 to 40 applicants. Me and Andy sit through it, and straight away you can probably cut half, because a lot of people just see a job, they see the money, they apply for, say, 50 jobs a day just because they want a job. So you can cut out the kind of shit, cut out the rubbish, and cut it down to, say, half. And then following that, we book in interviews. So in informal interviews, we always stress to people because we without sounding like cliche, we want to build that kind of modern company. We don't want a company where it's set hours, where you have to be in 9 till 5. You have to be in the office wearing a suit and a shirt every day. And we're not the opposite. We're not like super relaxed. We have very aggressive targets that our staff need to hit and we need to hit. We are just as much of our staff as they are. Like, this is a team thing, not me and Andy plus our staff. So we all have targets to hit, but we kind of stress that, just come in for a chat. Like, I can't tell you if any of my staff, this is a bit silly me saying it because I know a couple of them did, but I can't tell you from when they first come into an interview if any of them have been to university, if they've been to college, what degrees they got, what grades they've got at school. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't actually care. I think the most important thing is just getting people in and chatting with them. I think that's that. At that point, I know if you're going to be good enough for our team and our culture, because you have to be on a certain level. Like, we have a kind of phrase in the UK. It's called banter. Like, you have to be able to take a bit of banter, because we are a kind of quirky, lively office. That's the kind of industry we're in. It's good fun, but of course it's very serious at times as well. But you have to be able to fit in with our people. And until you see these people and interview them face to face, you don't know that. So we get them in for an interview. And then it's just about, we don't just ask about the job, because I believe with the right processes in place and the right onboarding and training, that anyone can pretty much do any job. Of course, there's going to be people who are better at different jobs and more suited to different jobs. But let's say, for example, project management, I believe anyone with common sense and who's a problem solver can do a project management job. So as long as they prove to us in that interview that they're of a level where they will fit into our kind of existing team and culture, not to rock the boat, and they are problem solvers and have some common sense, which you can pretty much soon tell with people if they can open the door and stuff. But it's quite a quick thing for us. Like, me and Andy know out of, say, 6 people who we want to hire, because it's normally the person that we can talk to for an hour and it doesn't feel like you're in an interview, and you go away feeling, oh, that was a great chat. Like, they were great. Like, we didn't even think it was an interview. And the other thing, like, on the flip side, if anyone's listening to this and wants to go for a job, the one thing that has really impressed me with anyone who we've hired in the past is when people come to you, not being overly confident, but they're confident and they actually tell you what your business needs. That's a real kind of big thing for me. Like, we had a marketing girl start this week, and she came into the job and she came in for an interview with a list of things that we were doing wrong and needed to do. And I was like, Andy, we need to hire this girl.
No, that's exactly right. I love that. Well, this has been honestly enlightening. I think that, it sounds like you have a great culture, a great team. You gave some wonderful concrete tips, I think, on how to like build that. And, with that great culture and great team, you're going to naturally grow into more clients, more revenue, more profits, all of those things that everybody obviously wants. I really appreciate your time today, Oliver. I always give my guest at the end just 1 or 2 minutes to quick pitch whatever it is that they want. And I'll let you do that now.
Okay, I'm going to pitch Jeremy's podcast. Make sure you keep listening to this podcast, because Jeremy's doing a great job for this industry. So please keep listening to that. As far as us, we're not here to sell, we're here to add value. But if you want to learn a little bit more about what we do, you can go to landingpageguys.com. You can also go to landingpagelab.com, where you'll be redirected to a free community on Facebook, which is all about landing page design, development, optimization, tips to scale, and kind of increase your conversion rates. But first and foremost, keep listening to this podcast and keep following Jeremy. He's doing some big things.
Well, I'm going to pitch Landing Page Guys, because I was honestly a pretty fussy customer and they made me incredibly happy, ultimately delivered a great product. I'm definitely planning on using them again in the future. So if you're looking for a highly converting landing page for any sort of offer, whether it's lead generation or, e-commerce or whatever, definitely hit them up. Well, Oliver, thank you so much again. And for all those listening, happy marketing.